One could actually put it quite simple to say that monitoring in itself is a prerequisite if you want to achieve sustainable results. In this case, we will see a shift from the monitoring, shifting from the global level and now to the country level. That means that we will have a much better insight of what is actually happening at the country level. And that is truly very important because you need to understand the context in which we are working. So I expect the learning exercises as such to help us in working smarter, to take better informed decisions. And in the end, this will also lead to better sustainable results. It provides an opportunity to make sure that you have all the relevant stakeholders sitting around the same table. And when I say all relevant stakeholders, I'm thinking about representatives from the national government, but also from civil society, private sector, also bilateral donors, multilateral donors, but also other relevant actors. And by sitting together and looking at the same agenda, I am convinced that that is also when we will learn and see how we can complement the work that we are doing. And I think that and just by listening to each other and by talking to each other, and also that we all will know that we will all be monitored, I think that in itself is a strength. And I am actually very convinced that this will in itself increase effectiveness in the way we are working, and this will also in the end lead to more sustainable results. There are more than one reason why development partners should engage. The first one being that no one can do this alone. We all have to work together. And then I'm not only saying that development partners should work together. I'm thinking, the development partners, we need to work with civil society, we need to work with the private sector, but we also need to work with the government. And if I just can elaborate a little bit on the perspective of why it is important for development partners, then I would like to say that if we work together as development partners, it means that we will be better when it comes to coordinating the work that we are doing. And that in itself will lead to less duplication, less fragmentations, and better alignment. And that is what we are all aiming for when we are talking about working in an effective way. And that is also something that will lead to more sustainable results. But I would like to highlight, when I say sustainable results, I'm not talking about sustainable results for us as a development partner. I'm talking about the sustainable result for the poorest and for the most vulnerable ones that we are targeting at the level of at the country level. I would like to say that right now we are talking about 3 priorities, but they are not thematic priorities at this time, because we also need to have a discussion as the new incoming chair with the other co-chairs before we make the final decision of we are going to prioritize. But what I would like to say is we will now have the outcome document approved at the end of this high-level summit. Then that has to be turned into a work plan. And I think that it's very important that Sweden will push for it to be a concrete and that it will be a concrete work plan, but also that it will not be too ambitious. It is so easy to try to put everything in a work plan. So I think that will be one of our focus, a concrete work plan. And the second one is something that I have already highlighted, and that is the importance of pushing for an inclusive dialogue at the level of the country. The second one being that we need to push for an inclusive dialogue at the country level, because that is really something that will make a big change. And I'm also hoping that we can help identify champions on the ground that can serve as, good leading examples for others. And then I think that the third priority will be to really try to make everything as concrete as possible. really trying to make sure that what we have now set out to do will actually take place. And when I'm talking about the monitoring, I think that we have an important role as the new incoming chair to push for that to happen at the country level, but also that making sure that we be carried out in a good way. And when I say a good way, I'm talking both about the setup, but also but also that it would be an opportunity to learn from what worked in this monitoring, what didn't work. So I think that it's very important to have that learning aspect also of this monitoring exercise. And maybe also to be fast and sometimes agile when needed, because I think that that is something that we all need to push for in order to achieve sustainable results once again.